Howdy, folks. It's Invisible Walls, episode 148, right here on GameTrailers.com. Cruising our way up to episode 150, which should be a very special episode. And by special, hopefully, I'm not saying it's going to be wearing a helmet. I don't know if you guys noticed or not, but this week we had a brand new feature launch on GameTrailers called GT Tribute. Pretty proud of this one. It's kind of our chance to put some of our favorite parts of video games up on a pedestal and show you guys how awesome they are. We had the contest where you guys had to name all 100 games that were in the montage. Maybe a little bit to ask for a t-shirt.
No, it was like a $50 gift certificate.
Yeah, maybe we need to be better at messaging that because all the
T-shirt
comments
warehouse?
on that page were like, I'm not doing this for a stupid t-shirt I can pay $20 for.
Did anyone get it though?
Yeah, a lot of people got it actually.
Nice.
And the contest is still going on, so everyone who gets it right gets to put their name in a hat, and then we draw the winner out of a hat.
For one
Is it the
t-shirt.
Mario hat?
No.
What's the certificate for? Is it for that crappy cafe around the corner?
No, it's a $50 Amazon gift certificate
You can only spend it on t-shirts.
in the GT store.
You could buy 80% of a next-gen game.
We will probably do this again when we put up our next tribute, although maybe we'll try to make it a little easier next time.
200 games.
Yeah, 400 games.
The next tribute should be Atari Jaguar games.
What was that second word?
Jaguar.
5-second tribute.
Jaguar.
Yeah, 5-second tribute.
Can you
That
put
would be
that
the
into your
easiest one
schedule?
to cut ever.
Yes, you can.
So, aside from talking about ourselves, we actually have a lot of games to talk to. We actually have the MPD report today as well. We're going to get to a little later. And here to talk to you about all the latest in the gaming industry is returning from suspension, Marcus Beer.
What's occurring?
How was your little vacay, Marcus?
It wasn't a vacay. My dad was sick, so I went back to the UK, and he's doing much better now. Some people were very kind enough to reach out and say, nice things. So it's good to be back, but he's doing well. I'm sure, he enjoyed having me around just to hang out. So it was good. I'm glad to be back, but I'm glad he's well.
Anything that you realize you missed from Europe while you were there?
A really good doner kebab. Which
What?
exactly.
I still haven't actually had one, even though like friends in Germany always tell me.
When you if you ever go to London and it's like 2:00 in the morning, you're drunk off your box, you go for one of two things: a curry or a doner kebab. Doner kebab you can get from like any sort of like roach coach or whatever, and they're just really, really good. Pita bread and salad and chili sauce and minced lamb. And seriously, it's fantastic.
Do people not like pizza in London?
Actually, a really bad doner kebab can lead to pavement pizza.
Gotcha. So he's back in the house and ready to raise a ruckus. Ryan Stevens is on the show today.
Present and accounted for.
Justin Spears here to talk to us about some bullet stormage.
Yeah, that's what I'm here to do.
And finally, we're going to get to talk about a game that we saw quite a while ago, but the embargo is lifted and Bloodworth is here to do that, and I'm not going to spoil what it is, but welcome to the show, Blood.
Hello.
Let's get to it.
Warning, airlock safety released.
Third bounty hunter this week.
All right, so first up, we're going to talk about Bulletstorm. Certainly a controversial game. I'm not sure that it should be controversial if EA didn't sort of push the issue a little bit. I mean, is it really all that more violent than other games?
Well, all I can say is that I've spent several hours playing the game over the last 24 hours, and I haven't felt the urge to rape anyone.
Yeah, I don't really feel all that rapey. So let's talk about the game proper. We've already talked about the controversy on the show. I've only played the first couple hours. I didn't review the game, but my first impression is that it's like Duke Nukem that takes itself seriously. Like, I feel like it should be tongue-in-cheek, but it's not.
I think it's tongue-in-cheek on the surface, but as you delve more into it, it does take itself seriously, but there's also some really, there's some really smart game design in there, and it's way more sort of like, self-deprecating than the likes of Medal of Honor or Battlefield or anything like that, and I think that's a good thing.
Well, it's kind of caught in the middle, I feel like. It's like it doesn't know whether it wants to be self-deprecating or it wants you to take the game seriously.
Well, I don't know. I think it's kind of a matter of taste. Since the review, I've seen people go either way and say, oh, this is totally ridiculous or totally stupid, and someone's like, I think it was some blog, they're like, oh, it got too serious, they're ruining my fun of shooting people with the rear entry and gangbanging dudes. I want to do this without so much seriousness. It's bringing me down. But I don't know. It's written by a Marvel Comics writer. It's comic book things. Sometimes there's an acceptable level of stupid, just depending on who you are. Your stupidity center is calibrated a certain way. But I didn't, I didn't think it was too, they try to have some fun with it, yet still have, still propel the story along with some dramatic touches. So
It's an Unreal game, and the lead character has hair.
yeah, he does.
It's also a
dude
pretty
with hair.
good-looking Unreal
It's a
game.
really, really good look. Although it still has that look. Like, you can look
It
at it
does.
and you can tell immediately that it's an Unreal game.
Some of those outside areas with the big sweeping vistas, though, are really like you actually stop and pause and look, which is kind of funny because the game is all about I mean, I've played the first 2 acts and a little bit of the third act, and that game's all about just driving you forward.
Oh, yeah.
It's all about marching on.
You can tell it's a sort of like an epic Unreal game because you look at the jawline of all the male characters. They all seem to have Gears of War, and these guys have interchangeable jawlines.
Well, the characters look very similar, too. They're real heavy. It looks like their legs are like tree trunks. But beyond
It's
that,
not such a Marvel comic as an Image comic by Rob Liefeld, circa 1993. I could get more specific.
Nerd alert.
the hands are pretty proportional though.
Let's talk about the gameplay, though, because I think that's what really sets this game apart. And I think it's, from what I've played so far, the best part of the game is actually playing it, which, hey, that's probably the way games should be. Do you guys feel like the creativity and killing is as robust as you had hoped or thought it would be?
Game feels a bit like a rental to me. Like I picked it up and I had some fun, but especially going through the echoes modes a couple times where you just kind of just try to maximize. It doesn't seem so much. They call them skill shots, but in the end, it doesn't seem so much skill based. It's kind of just learning the map and trying to maximize. It's almost tactical how you're going to try to get those points. Mm-hmm. When you're actually going through the game, I actually thought they did a pretty good job of balancing. First, I was actually shocked that skill shots were worked into the plot with the leash evaluating you, which is kind of a stupid nod, but at least
The
they made
soldiers,
the effort.
they don't perform well enough, don't get more ammo, and then they die.
But
hardcore.
if you're running low on
harsh.
points and you never find enough ammo, so you have to buy ammo a lot, or at least I did.
Well, I'm so skilled. Obviously, I had too many points. And
but you,
wait. Just one tiny thing, one tiny annoyance is that no matter how many points you get, you unlock weapons and things in a set order as you progress through the game. And even if you go back in Echoes, you only have access to the weapons that you would have had there. So at some points, I was kind of like, "Come on, game! I got all these points. I'm doing good, killing with skill. Give me the drill. I want to drill people to the ceiling."
It doesn't really give you a chance to totally cut loose.
Yeah, even when you play the game again, if you start in a different difficulty, they really have it tied in, which I'm sure is, I'm sure there are balance reasons for that, and I'm sure they plan around it. But I kind of felt like, come on, I'm getting lots of points. Let me spend my points.
my other issue is, anyone ever play Pokemon Snap?
Yes.
Yes.
I had a girlfriend who played that, and she was
played it
she was
too,
an actual.
don't lie.
I played a ton of that game. She was an actual photographer, like most girls are, and she was very upset. She did all these artsy photos, and Professor Oak was like, "These are shitty photos. You suck." And
Well, that was the irony of that game. The better photos got scored really poorly.
but I feel sometimes I destroy some guy in a magnificent manner in Bulletstorm, and then I see 10 points.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of that, which is
Yeah, I felt it got...
it's kind of the rub.
I mean, I don't know. You guys tell me. You played the whole game, Justin. Did you feel like the game got repetitive after a while? Because I only played a couple hours, and even towards the end of that time, I was like, all right, I'm going to juggle another dude. I'm going to shoot him in the face while he's flying away.
I think, like I mentioned earlier, since weapons are unlocked in a set order, I guess, the benefit of that is that you do have something new to look forward to around the corner. And towards the end of the game, you have way more weapons. You can only hold 3. So... you tend to go back and forth. You look at your skill shots you've unlocked, and you're like, oh, I've hardly used this gun at all. I could use some more points. So you throw that in as one of your secondary weapons. And there's really a lot more variety. In the beginning, your standard assault rifle is super effective, but it's not really the most creative weapon. There's only so many things you can do with it. So the game does open up a little bit.
What's your favorite weapon?
I actually
why?
like the weapon that launches the bouncing balls of doom. It's the charge shot. As you power it up, and then you shoot it and it'll bounce in place, and you can kick it at people, kick people into it, leash people into it, and it just boom, 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 and you can cause a lot of destruction with one shot.
I think the kicking is my favorite part of the game.
Definitely. I think leashing somebody from a distance, pulling them back in, and then just
Kicking
them,
them.
kicking them, and then kicking them onto a big cactus or kicking them off the edge of a cliff.
Yeah.
I mean, the first time I kicked somebody into a cactus and got the prickly achievement, that was just so cool.
Well, they have a nice slow-mo effect, right, when you kick a guy. So it gives you a second. If
So
you
you have
didn't
time
kick
to
him quite
actually
right,
shoot him.
you can, reposition
Slide over
him.
there.
Yeah. But
I mean, it's a little strange that they go in slow motion while everybody else continues to go at regular speed.
it's your boot your boot glows when you do it, so it's some kind of futuristic
a video.
Yeah, and
technology.
apparently they thought it was important enough to make the bottom of your shoe the entire box art.
Yeah.
I will say that the AI that comes with you, Ishi, is about as useless as a chocolate teapot.
He's kind of a wiener too. They're just kind
For
of
somebody who's supposed to be, like half cyborg and incredibly strong and hell-bent on vengeance, and then, he spends the first, couple of missions whinging about, oh, my battery's running down.
Well, why is he the robot and he's the sensitive one? Like, how did that happen? He's the one that's like, you dragged us into this for
He's
your own
Dean
revenge.
Martin to your Jerry Lewis in the game. It's the
But
road to
Does he
Bulletstorm.
do you ever see him in like a cutscene doing something completely awesome and then he does nothing when you're in gameplay?
He
Is that
eats some
one of those
bullets,
things?
that's
He
for
just
sure.
sits there and bitches, and then he gets in. He obviously runs in your way a lot, and I could have really done without him, and just had a better sort of like waypoint marker.
Yeah,
So
like
was
I call
one-
that guy out in the review, so I make sure to say that he's kind of
He's kind of
he's not the high point of the game.
and it's a shame really that they couldn't figure
Sliding
out
is
a way
the
to
high point of the game.
replace that character with the opportunity to do co-op, online co-op, and they did.
Yeah, that seems like a too obvious of an addition because you have that co-op guy with you the whole game, right? He never goes away.
I don't think you would want to play co-op with another human being though.
Why?
Because if
but
you
it'd be
play the
fun if you're like, you
multiplayer-
juggle him. I'll
No,
shoot
it would
him.
not. It would
multiplayer.
not. It would not be fun.
Really?
Because their multiplayer mode does not work out quite so well.
But
the good
playing
thing
the
is
co-op
when
in the
if
campaign,
it's a single player game, you trying to do specific things, kill people in specific ways. You don't want someone fucking up your program,
And
But
You
it'd
want
be
someone
cool
like
to-
you leash a guy and someone else is like, haha, I leashed him too. Then you
well, no,
pull
the
the guy
idea is
apart.
it's cooperation. Cooperative mode means cooperation. That means I leash him and toss him up in the air. You shoot him, or you leash him up in the air. You pull him towards me. I kick him. Like
Theory and practice, my friend.
Yeah,
well, you gotta be friends.
it just doesn't
Gotta be
work out.
friends of yours.
To be fair, the guys who made the game actually came out and said this week, the reason there's no co-op is, we couldn't find a way to work it properly.
People
it
are
broke the
jackholes.
game. It totally broke the game, and they said so. We're not even gonna,
Yeah, nothing cool would happen. It would just
Now, one
you
thing I
can't. They
will
do
say-
have cooperative aspect in the multiplayer mode called anarchy. But the more cooperative is, the less anarchic it is, and the more boring it is. So it ends up kind of feeling like, okay, everyone run over this side of the map. Okay, no one shooting, no one do anything. Okay, I'm gonna kick him, and okay, 1, 2, 3, and it just becomes like repetitive labor.
It could make
really.
for some good internet videos, though. If people are willing to cooperate.
Oh,
Yeah, 'cause
there's
that's why I
still,
play video
there's
games.
Are
cool
there
things
cats
can
in it?
happen. I'm not saying that cool things can't happen in multiplayer. I mean, there's kind of a sweet spot for just dicking around and then really having teamwork. But yeah, the multiplayer is not. They need to work on that. They need to figure out how to make
That's the
that
thing
fun.
I will say is that this game is perfect for dicking around. I mean,
Yeah.
just
It's a little bit like a sandbox.
yeah,
without having a
I don't think
sandbox.
Yeah,
that's
with super linear
necessarily a
levels.
bad thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like
But I mean, it's a sandbox you can play in. You don't
Yeah.
necessarily need to make progress in the game to have fun.
And they've already announced the first DLC pack is
And,
being, what,
and
6 weeks?
the single player campaign, I know you thought it was a little repetitive, but they do a pretty good job of doing the IV drip of new stuff constantly. Have you gotten to the miniature city?
No.
Oh, okay. There's some definitely
Yeah, like I said again, to
moments.
qualify what I've been
That was
saying,
7
I have
ha's.
not
That's maybe
played
too many
that much of the
ha's.
game. One thing I will say though is that in this day and age, it seems to be becoming increasingly more difficult to find unique gameplay experiences, and I think this is one of those. This is one game that you play where you don't feel like you've played it a million times before.
Kinda. It's kind of like the first-person shooter version of Mad World in a way. It also kind of reminds me of Shadow of Rome. Just you kill dudes in weird ways, and it gives you titles and points. Like some of the things, I was like, wow, that really reminds me of Shadow of Rome. And Shadow of Rome
Yeah,
had
but
a
I mean, you're talking about a shooter here that has like the
It's
kicking
true.
mechanic, the leash. I mean, to me,
Yeah.
it felt pretty refreshing to play this game, even though after a little while it seemed like it kind of
Yeah.
settled into
Well,
a groove.
it's definitely it sets itself apart enough for first-person shooters to go. Maybe I'll take a look at this.
I'd also say if you do like achievements and trophies and whatnot, you'd probably like this game even more, since unlocking every little thing is almost like doing a little achievement.
It does feel like an achievement. I mean, they give you some low hanging fruit right off with the first couple of skill kills that you can do. But the first time I shot one of those gas canisters and literally took out an entire like half block of bad guys, and it's like boom, 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 like 6,000 points. Oh, fantastic! It's
Well, they do
brilliant.
set it up like right at the beginning. They have those explosives that are hanging over top of the enemies. If you shoot them, like the whole thing kind of
Environmental
collapses
kills.
onto them.
Yeah.
But it's fun that they have that stuff set up. And sometimes you just do it on accident and everything goes boom and you're like, what the hell just happened? How did I do that? I don't care. It was freaking awesome.
And then you go back to try and do it again in echoes, and it does take a bit of skill though to get some of the more difficult ones. But I think it's very enjoyable to do that as opposed to some of the games where it becomes a real freaking grind.
All right, so here's the game we've been waiting to talk about for a long time.
About 3 weeks, maybe something like that.
Yeah, they showed it to us quite a while ago. Deus Ex, Bloodworth. You checked it out. First of all, is it looking like it's going to be up to scratch?
Yeah, definitely. I played the first 3 hours of the game. They brought it by. They didn't let us capture, unfortunately, and really digging it. The funny comment I got from them is like, "You're playing it like you're really playing it," or something like that. Because I was just taking my time and checking out newspapers and things like that.
Well, they probably take it to a lot of journalists, and the journalists just want to get as far as possible so they can see as many plot points as possible.
No,
Not
they have
really-
a set point where you can't play past.
Oh, okay.
But
But how does
yeah.
that work with an open-ended game like Deus Ex?
But it's not. I mean, it's not open-ended. I mean, I think the things open up more as you go along. But at the beginning, it's you have a prologue and then you have a first mission, and I'm not sure how the story progresses beyond that. But the beginning of it, you see how some of your choices are going to affect things down the road.
Do they give you like premonitions or something like that, or are you just saying you just can look at?
No, you can see just based on like your character interactions, like who you saved, how you've treated people, and stuff like that. One of the parts I thought was really cool is towards the end there was a hostage situation, and you have a lot of choices with how to deal with that hostage situation. You can take the guy out, or you can try to talk your way through it, and rather than actually having like specific dialogue to choose from, they have kind of like attitudes, you can be humble or you can be reasonable or things like that.
So could you choose one of those, and then you end up shooting like the hostage taker and the hostage, and you're just like, wait, I didn't really want to make that decision, but because of
No,
how
if you shoot somebody, if you're gonna shoot them, I mean, I think you would just raise your gun and shoot them. Like I'm talking, like if you actually try to talk your way through it. I somehow managed to get through it with like probably the best results that kind of pleased everybody and and kept the key people alive.
Are there best results though? I mean, with a game like this, I think a lot of people may be hoping that there is no such thing as a best result.
I mean, I guess what I'm saying is from there I could see that it looks like I'm going to get a lot of rewards from the way I treated people there. But who knows? Maybe one of those people that I thought was just a pawn or something comes and backstabs me. I should have taken him out. I don't know.
Or maybe the bad guys are actually the good guys.
But also, I mean,
you
best,
don't know.
best results for you is maybe a non-violent ending. But when
Yeah.
Marcus is playing, he wants to fucking murder everyone. So his best result, that would be a horrible result. He's like, oh my god, I'm playing like Bloodworth. This is horrible.
Stereotyping much? Why would
I'm
you
just
think I
saying,
want to kill
for
everybody?
example.
We've done how many
I've read your
episodes with you at
blog.
this point?
They-
Well over 100.
they
But I
do-
also like to
You
play
just
the
see
Bloodworth way. I
Bobby
like.
Kotick everywhere.
That's not true.
They do say that you can play through the game without killing anybody, but it seems like
A
that'd
lot
be
of games
really
claim that.
hard to do.
And then it's like, but you have to use the tranquilizer gun, and they look like they're dead.
And you have no ammo, and you get one shot per enemy.
Yeah, you have to do a lot of scavenging, like picking up their weapons and bullets and things like that.
I wonder how the stun gun would have worked out if you picked that. 'Cause that's like the
right.
the original Deus Ex classic, and then a
Yeah, the
non-lethal
thing is
solution.
you already have kind of a non-lethal melee takedown. That's kind of a nice thing too. You kind of do the Metal Gear thing where you either
Cuddle them?
But it costs batteries.
You spoon with them until they submit.
well, you
Ew, I give up. Sounds like UFC.
Those on pillows?
We didn't say non-violent; it's a non-lethal. They're still violent.
yeah, you walk up and you knock them out,
But
or
it takes
you hold
battery
the button
power.
a little bit longer and you stab them through the chest. So
It takes battery. It takes battery power to knock someone out, though. So you're kind of limited in the the number of takedowns you can do.
yeah,
Or you have to eat more energy bars to power
yeah,
your
that's what I thought
insane
was kinda
calorie
funny.
consumption.
You eat the protein bars.
The game definitely. I watched you play it for a bit. The game definitely looks way more Deus Ex 1 than Invisible War for people that were.
That's probably a
gonna
good thing.
cry. Oh yeah,
Oh, that's a real good thing.
Because Invisible War was a pile of shite.
that was okay.
Yeah.
It was a pile of shite compared to the first one, in my
Well,
opinion.
I'm actually playing through the first one right now for the first time, and it's interesting. Like,
How'd you
with
find it?
Huh?
How'd
on
you
Steam.
find it?
Oh, it's on,
On
Steam.
Steam.
Yeah. But it's just interesting, going from that perspective, and it's almost like if you went back to the original Metal Gear and you had just started with Metal Gear Solid, and you're like, oh, all this stuff was there back on the NES.
Yeah.
It's like you see like the strength augment and everything there. They're really trying to keep it faithful, I think.
Isn't this one like set before the
Yeah,
first
it's
one?
30 years before. So it's like this is when mechanical augmentations were first taking hold, and there's a lot to the story about people that are anti-augmentation altogether, and the conspiracy kind of centers around there's like some new breakthrough in augmentation that's going to really change the landscape.
Is it the eye cannon? Because I'm still looking at my fingers crossed for that one. Just had a microphone incident right there.
Getting excited by your eye cannon there.
Yeah.
Now, for the sake of people who may be new to our hobby, didn't play the first couple games, can you give a synopsis of the series and then sort of a synopsis of how this game plays? Is it an RPG? Is it a shooter? Is it an action-adventure game?
It's definitely between an RPG and a first-person shooter. I think the people are more likely going to play it more like an RPG or more like a stealth game. I mean, I kind of went with that stealth approach. The augments I took, they gave us some extra points to just play with some augments, and I took the one where you can kind of see through walls and the other one where you can cloak. And there was a point where I actually kind of surprised them, because I guess it's the first thing that came to my mind, but other people hadn't been doing it. I had a sniper tranquilizer gun, and there's one of these rooms where, there's like a bunch of boxes and you could like sneak around and grab guys from behind. But there was also, when I walked through the door, there was a staircase that went up to a balcony behind me. So I put on my cloak, I ran up the staircase, and then I just sniped everyone with the tranquilizer gun.
But then you have a set amount of time before you can get to them, right, to finish them off before they wake up?
No, they won't wake up unless somebody else wakes them up. Problem is there's one guy that walked in the room later, and so I went around to do something else. I came back in, and everyone just warned me. It's like, oh, crap.
So people who are fans of shooters, do you think they'll enjoy this game?
Ha ha ha. That's a good question.
It's more... You have to be more tactical if you're going to approach it like a shooter. I found it easier to shoot while undercover.
Yeah, it's a little slower paced.
If you try to take on
a lot of
multiple
shooters.
guys at once, you're probably not going to make it.
This isn't exactly Bulletstorm,
Right.
Yeah.
but that's not a bad thing.
No, I was really enjoying it. I was enjoying the process of dying and trying to do it better.
Now, which version did they bring in for you to play?
It was a console version, but I can't remember. Was it PS3 or 360? I want to say it was
It was the
PS3.
Wii, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Atari
it was-
Jaguar.
it might have been-
Right.
Oh, piss off. We invented the language, you
Jaguar.
fucking Canadian.
I wish.
Go and,
Healthcare?
go and shag some maple syrup.
All right, easy. So, Blood, your first impression of this game, having played several hours of it, pretty positive?
Yeah, I wanted to keep playing. I wanted to see how things play out. I like, and this is another thing that goes back to the original game, is I like that when you first really dig into that first mission, they give you, there's kind of like a dialogue choice. It's like, what are the rules of engagement going to be? Are you going to be, and it's basically you're picking a weapon loadout, but you're doing it in a like very context not really context sensitive, but context aware way.
Once you set that though, do you have to play that way all the way through? Then you can't just
No,
change
that's
up
I
your
was kind of
styles?
afraid of that, but like I said, you just pick up the weapons along the way, so just kind of
Yeah, it's your starting loadout for the
starting
mission going
loadout,
in. Guys
yeah.
like, here, take this. It's dangerous out there.
Was
Now,
it an old
Can I say
man in
one?
a
I want to
room?
say one tiny thing that kind of, I was there during the demo. I didn't play it, but I did watch it. And to me, kind of the dialogue and script seemed a little strange to me in terms of, it is kind of like 90s style cyberpunk. Like this is how people imagine the future, like 20 years ago. But, at some point the guy called a girl a skirt, and I'm like, skirt? Would you really? That's like, 50s detective sounding language. You should call them
What's
neo.
next, Dame?
They should
What
call
a
them
broad.
neo-dames.
I do
Neo-dames.
have the one thing I do
Meta broads.
I can't get over is the reporter with the giant collar. Have you seen that? It's in the
I
trailers.
kind of like the fashion, actually.
They actually put a lot of time and effort into
Yeah, the
fashion.
visual design is super.
Well, isn't their art
rich.
designer like their main
stylized.
spokesperson for the game?
Yeah, he's the guy I
Which
interviewed.
is a little odd.
Yeah, he had some weird tattoos.
So they let us play 3 hours of this game. That's a pretty good sign that it's going to be a pretty big beast.
They say that right now their testing is indicating it's about 25 hours long.
Hey, there's your $60.
What we need is some footage for the game so we can show it to people.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Well, we're on the fourth revolution of the trailer now. It's just been replaying four times while we're talking about it.
Yeah, what's the release date for this game? Have they announced a firm date yet?
No, just this year.
Just this year.
I think most people are tracking it for this half of this year, the first half.
I'd be surprised. A game that complex. Hopefully they give it plenty of time in the cooker.
3 weeks have passed since the massacre at Balmamusa. The tragedy was as flint to fire for the Wallister, bringing them together as never before and inspiring to action those Gargastani who bore no love for Barbatos.
All right, continuing our Justin Minute, he is going to sit in and talk to us about Tactics Ogre.
It's a minute of my time, but it's longer for everyone else. It's my brain.
Now, Justin, you're very partial to these Tactics Ogres games.
Yeah, I like Ogre Battle. Is one of I really dug that game growing up. I saw it in Nintendo Power before it came out in the States. I'm like, holy shit, this game looks awesome. I ended up losing track of it. I had to buy a used copy of Ogre Battle on Funko Land for $100 for a cartridge, but I mean it was.
Ogre
totally
Battle, I
worth
think,
it.
was the first assignment I ever worked on with you. Probably
I think
over
Ogre
10
Battle,
years
Ogre
ago-
Battle
10 years ago.
64 might have been one
It
of my
was.
first
Yeah, that was it.
GameSpot
Person
things.
of lordly caliber or something.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Yeah.
So,
What's
pretty lordly.
what's the subtitle of this one?
Huh? This is Let Us Cling Together, which is actually it's actually a
Let
clean
us
song.
clean together.
Cling.
lettuce.
Well, you know, desperate people have to
I
cling
got
together.
the sink. You got the toilet.
So I have a question.
Not clink like toasting. It's like
I'm
clinging.
joking.
As somebody who is sitting here who has no fucking clue
You
what
played
a
Final
Tactics
Fantasy Tactics
ogre
or
is.
something? Have
No.
you played Final Fantasy Tactics? Are you
No.
totally ignorant of that?
I'm totally ignorant.
Why are you so ignorant?
Because anything with
Ignorant.
Final Fantasy just really started upsetting me about 6 years
What
ago.
about Fallout
Justin?
Tactics? Huh?
Fallout?
Huh? Huh?
I'm waiting for Fallout 4, the Obsidian game.
Punishes ignorance.
Well, you know what tactics
Well,
games
educate
are, right?
me, inspire me, and Ryan's got a gift for making me buy games. So there you go, inspire me to buy Tic Tacs.
Well, I don't know if I'd have to make you buy PSP 2, which is a hard sell for me. Also, I don't own one, but I've been playing on the
No
Office
one
PSP. It's pretty rad. But you know what a tactics game is, right? I mean,
Yes,
who
I mean,
plays it?
yes,
It's a strategy RPG, but you know the meat of the game, and this actually has a lot more RPG elements than some games that call themselves strategy RPG, because you have key choices you make at certain things. You can spare characters' lives, you can get them on your side. The game changes a lot based on what you do, like in and out of battle. There's some major decisions, but the meat of the game, it's a combat simulator. It's grid based. There's terrain, there's elevation, there's like attack ranges, counterattack, stuff like that. So it's really in fielding kind of a small army of dudes. You can have up to 12 characters, which is Final Fantasy Tactics is a cool game. It has a kind of a much smaller character limit. So here you have a bunch of dudes. They all have their classes. You're learning skills for all your guys. They have loyalty levels, so you can do interesting stuff like you go to the screen and you're checking your loyalty level, and it's like a lizard man I just recruited and says this unit does not open its mouth but to complain. Like, oh man, this guy is
sounds
feeling
like
a
Shane.
feeling a little upset, so I have to bring that guy into the fold. I don't know, it gives it really gives you that kind of feeling of like managing a team or like a small army. You will know the names of each of your guys and you'll know what they do. If someone gets killed, you're like, oh shit, they took out Father Presence, what the fuck, I have no more healers on the map.
This game, because Final Fantasy Tactics is pretty challenging.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people, when they sort of look at this
yeah.
genre, that's kind of the game that they always think of. They're like, oh, that game kind of kicked my ass.
And Ogre Battle was also, Tactics Ogre, which is the sequel to Ogre Battle and the first, the predecessor to Final Fantasy Tactics, really. Yeah, it was kind of a harsh game. This game it's a remake. They've done a lot of tweaking with the systems. It's kind of, remastered, kind of redone. It has some of the ideas from Final Fantasy Tactics in there with the different skills you learn in customization. I would say it's a little easier, but it can also be extremely challenging. So the story battles, the enemy's level doesn't change. So it's possible to do a few random fights, which are new, before you had to go into training and your guys beat themselves up. So the story battles are, if you're having too much trouble, you can get more powerful and come back and take another crack at it. If you go into a random battle, it's kind of an average level of your characters, and you'll be outclassed in terms of equipment, and sometimes you'll be facing way, like more enemies than you have guys. So you can run into some challenging scenarios. And if you haven't played tactics games before, then this is not an easy, not maybe an easy game to get into.
They've added. This is a remake. Didn't you say they added some pretty cool functionality?
Yeah, they've added a bunch of stuff. There's actually a way to kind of rewind the turns that have happened in the battle. So if you make you go through and you've left one of your units vulnerable, they get killed and your shit is getting fucked up, you can rewind a few turns and do something different. So you can't actually change the outcome of like an individual attack. Like if you're going to reach a guy and club him in the face, as soon as you do that, that's saved. You cannot do that same move again and like keep cheating it until you get the critical hit and split his face open. But you can actually go back to different points, and then from that branch you can move off, do something else, maybe have that guy move back, heal him, do something else, do something with your other units, and then if that doesn't work out, you can go back a few more turns. It tracks it like a flow chart, so you can really kind of repeat your actions and do variations on things. You can get a really good idea of how the game systems work, what kind of chances how the arrow trajectories work, what's an impossible shot. So it's actually pretty cool. They have a lot of tools in there. They've just shitloads of detail and depth in this game. I was kind of scared to start playing it because I'm like, this is going to...
It's intimidating, right?
I have to keep this game from absorbing my life because you can really put a lot of time into it. I'm trying to raise up my golems now. I've recruited a few golems, and it's tough to raise new characters or new job classes actually because you don't have individual character levels. This is getting too deep, I'm talking about.
Are the golems
but
kosher?
the game is really fucking rad and really fucking detailed. The dude Yasumi Matsuno is like a totally cool guy. Maybe you didn't like Final Fantasy 12, but he's done a ton of good stuff. He's close to being a genius, I think, in terms of game design. So, yeah, I'm all over it.
While Pavel finds temporary solace in the port town of Aston.
All right, so up next is the N to the P to the D.
Bum, 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 bum.
And if you guys know from watching the show, we are fortunate enough to get the entire MPD report. They've been kind of schluffing around the truncated report for the last several months, which just basically give you the top 10, doesn't give you the units sold. We have all the info right here. Now,
We do the in-depth investigative journalism.
Allegedly.
allegedly. So, first of all, guys, taking a look at this list, what sticks out to you the most? To me, the one that I'm just completely and utterly shocked by is We Zumba Fitness join the party.
What's a Zumba?
New Year's resolutions, man. People are like, I'm going to lose some weight, play more video games.
There's a
Sold
lot of fat
200
ladies out there.
243,000 units
bottom
sold
I
for the
think-
Wii alone.
Yeah, I think at any point in time there has to be like a dominant fitness game for Wii because a lot of people bought it with that in mind. And
But it isn't just that. I mean, if you go on down
They have
the
good-looking
list here,
models.
There's
At
actually four
11
in the, there's 4 in the top 10 of these fitness games. What's more impressive is the fact that this is from Majesco, and I thought those fuckers went bankrupt.
Yeah.
And they got some cooking mama.
Yeah, they got some cooking mama. Wii Fit's at 11.
See, that's how they get you. Cooking mama, you eat all the food, and then you got to work it off.
Yeah, Wii Fit is at 11. It's sold another 152,000 units. Unreal. You just wonder when the legs on that thing will finally collapse. Let's see. Then you have a little lower. You've got EA Sports Active 2. Didn't sell quite as well.
You got We Just Dance Kids, and of course, the number one selling game is We Just Dance 2.
We Just Dance 2 number 1 sold another 563,000 units in January.
I'm not seeing any move games here.
Life,
Life curious, huh?
yeah.
Well, not really.
But how many Kinect games are in the top 10?
There's a few.
There
I
are
mean,
2.
Dance, yeah. Well,
Dude, Life to
2
Date,
in the top 10 is
Life to
pretty
Date
good.
Just Dance 2 has done almost 3.6 million units.
And it's made, it's not far off $100 million in revenue.
Freaking real.
And that is obviously just US only. I know everybody in Europe and Australia want your sales figures, but we don't have access to them. So if anybody over there has the access to them, send them to us.
Send them to us. We'll talk about them. Call of Duty Black Ops at 11.7 million units sold between the PS3 and the 360 across 3 months, which is just unfreaking real. We have Little Big Planet 2. Its debut, it sold 353,000 units. I think that's about where they expected.
I think they're probably happy with that. That's also one of those games that's not a reach out and get day one, and it kind of crosses audiences. So
I think for a first month, that's a pretty good showing for that game.
Dead Space had a great month compared to the first game.
Yeah,
Well-
300,000 just on the 360, 300,000 first month.
Yeah,
440,000 units across both.
I think last time it sold about 180,000.
I thought, well, it cracked 1 million ultimately. I know that.
Ultimately, I'm just saying debut. It has a much stronger debut.
Yeah. So
Which, I mean, it is a hard, it's equivalent of a hard R rating. It is a very gory game. It's outer space, it's horror, which is not as perhaps accessible as say GTA, as one of the other sort of like 17 rated games or mature rated games.
Dance Central doing really well. Certified hit at this point, 1.2 million units. Is it safe to say the war between the Kinect and the Move is over, or
If
it was ever
I
a
don't.
war?
Yeah, I don't know if that's an apt.
I may be dramatizing things a little bit, calling it a war. The skirmish maybe is the best way to
you got to say
describe it.
Microsoft are probably very, very happy right now because the
Kinect Sports also at 1.2.
Yeah, Move is a non-event.
Yeah. What else? Donkey Kong Country Returns cracks the top 10 again. Still probably hasn't done what they hoped, I wouldn't think. A game for Metro.
Still better than they were thinking for like the Metroid, never.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically 2 million units sold in 2 months. That's not too bad, I guess. That's pretty good.
And you see how, like, new Super Mario Brothers and stuff. I think the more prestigious Nintendo mascots still continue to sell. I bet we'll see Donkey Kong.
Kirby's sitting at, what, 500,000 right now?
Yeah, it's much further down the list.
Which isn't that surprising. Kirby's never been a huge seller for Nintendo.
So I just saw one at number 57. Wii Link's crossbow training with Zappa has sold to date
3.3 million units.
Yeah.
Piece of plastic.
For a piece of plastic and a shitty on-rails game.
Yeah, that's pretty sad. And that on-rails game is garbage.
You're actually not even on rails. You're stationary.
Halo Reach 4.4 million units on one platform. That's pretty darn impressive. Definitely showing that Halo is still a big part of our industry.
Interestingly, at number 13, the PS3 version of DC Universe Online comes in. And that's,
Ooh.
Yeah,
44,000 units. Ooh, that's not good.
I still think it's kind of a hard sell for MMOs on a.
Yeah, and this is something Patrick and I were discussing.
System,
I mean,
I think console.
The PC version selling, really quite well. The PS3 version not so much, but the PC version is suffering from the fact that they consoleized the experience.
Yeah, Mass Effect 2 for the PlayStation 3, not very good. Around 76,000 units sold.
Yeah,
I mean that's all kind of money. That's playing with house money at that point. You've already spent all the resources on making the game. Pretty easy to port it over. I mean that's just kind of like putting the icing on the cake for that one. I think
the game sold well on PC and PS3. Those
right.
were all, and 360. Those were the ones that are always going to do well. Plus, it's a game that's a year old by now on the other platforms.
Yep, Disney Epic Mickey, pretty epic dropped down to about 100,000 units. Still not bad overall. 2.4 million, which is actually 1.3 million. Which Disney ended up closing up shop after that game, pretty much.
Well, let's see.
Now they're going download only.
But one of the biggest drops was the U-Draw tablet that we called out last month, and we were kind of surprised about.
Yeah.
But that game was, almost made another $100 million in revenue.
And where is it? Is it even in the top 100 now?
It's down at number 93.
93.
U-Draw with tablet.
After that huge holiday season, it definitely fell off the map. That makes sense, though. That's kind of the thing you would buy for people for a Christmas gift.
Yeah, if you really hated them.
So not a big surprise there. Overall, pretty good. It takes well after the 20th spot before we dip below 100,000 units sold. I think that
which
shows
is great. I mean, January is usually a pretty dry month for sales, and we saw all of the summer leading up into fall. There was tons of things in the top 10 that were selling under 100,000.
I think there's a lot of gift cards that have been spent in January. I must admit, I'm pleased to see 2 PS3 games in the top 5, and the top 4, if you will, with Call of Duty Black Ops, one of them, but Little Big Planet. I think it's good that people are actually out there and supporting the first-party PS3 stuff.
And I'm happy to see Dead Space sell as well as it did in January, because maybe that'll convince other publishers to not release every single game in a 2-week period this year. Maybe more publishers will sort of take that tact. Capcom's been really good at it already with sort of releasing games in the first quarter. EA looks like it sort of picked up the mantle this year, and it looks like it paid off for them. So congratulations on a great game for Dead Space 2. All right, so that'll do it for episode 148 right here on GT. I think you guys are starting to see that we have a bunch of new features rolling out. We're going to continue to do that. A bunch of new stuff that we're working on as well. In fact, next weekend, I can't promise it 100%, but it's looking like we will have a brand new feature coming up next weekend. So make sure you check out the site. After you check out Invisible Walls, there should be something really big next Saturday or Sunday. So make sure you stop by and pass your judgment on that. That's it for this week, folks. We're headed out to GDC for next week, so we'll be recording from the show. I think if you remember last year, we were a little bleary-eyed at that point. But should be lots of big news coming out of GDC. We'll be there. We're actually leaving on Monday. We'll be there all week doing coverage around the clock. So no matter where you guys live, if you stop by GameTrailers.com during next week, there will be brand new videos going up. So as always, thanks for your support. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Invisible Walls is up and out to GDC.